Today I wanted to do, originally I didn't want to do this. I kind of thought everybody would make content about this, but I think a lot of the content creators were either there or they live streamed it. And so I just wanted to summarize some thoughts here and do kind of a day one summary. Again, kind of go over some of the key points. And a quick overview. I think it was a bit, this sounds bad, but a little underwhelming, but I think in a good way, which sounds weird, but underwhelming to the perspective of, it seems like all of this not like last year where 4.0, it'll be here, middle of the year, which I don't necessarily think they did last year, but they showed each individual things that were kind of promising it would be good to go, right? Or they're near, it's real close. This one felt a lot more tailored to just putting some generic stuff out there. Now tomorrow this may change. They may kind of go back to their old ways because I think base building is going to show as something that is probably close, and so something that could be coming out relatively sometime in 4.0. So I don't know. They might go back on that, and tomorrow it might be back to more features that should be coming out soon. But again, we'll go through these. But I feel like this is underwhelming in the perspective of it's key stuff I want to see, but underwhelming from the perspective of like none of it is, hey, this is coming 6 months from now, or this is coming this here or there. I'm going to make assumptions on when things will be coming. Actually, I won't be making timings assumptions, but I'll let you know what I think is close and what I don't think is close. And yeah, so starting off here, we have Genesis. So Genesis is the Star Engines. Now, there's no audio here. It's just going to be me kind of going over the different things here. But Genesis is an opportunity for generating planets. So you're going to have all kinds of different variability here. Think kind of AI and the ability to do different environments, thicker environments, being able to do better texturing, also hopefully a bit of graphic overhauling from my understanding. So kind of a bit of using our own GPUs and engines to work more efficiently with the Star Citizen game and the PTU so that we can just get a better overall experience. You have a kind of jungle here, some lavish, a nice forestry. You can take a look at the current technology here versus upcoming, Genesis. You can see here that it's like, hey, where are all the trees? And then like, okay, we got all kinds of forest going on here. Now, will this make potatoes even more of a potato? Potentially. So this could be a challenge for those that barely have the specs to runs now, but you got swamps coming. This looks really cool. So yeah, looks great. Looking forward to it. The different biomes, they kind of mentioned fauna and stuff later on as well. They don't show that here, but yeah, this is a pretty cool thing. Looking forward to this, but it's hard to see how this will come into the actual system. But I think when we talk about the new systems incoming, I think that could help, if it truly is ready, to help deliver quicker planets, which would be cool. Which is the way I've understood it previously anyways. Yeah, so going on here, I'll talk about the new systems and kind of 4.0 a little bit later, but here we are with kind of the guides and beacon system, and then they kind of run that along. It's a whole social interaction change here. You all have a social tab now, as you see here. And organizations and stuff like that all come up here. So this guide section allows for people to get into doing guides. So you can see base building here. This person has unlocked the ability to be a guide because they did these things for the base building piece here. So there's also kind of a trust factor with it as well. Yeah, so in order to be a guide, you need to actually take part in these activities, unlock them and then you could become a guide. The way that the systems then kind of work out is you can create these beacons. There's kind of the person that's picking up the beacons can kind of see what your rep is. So you can see this person took part in healing and repairing. He had a successful guide session here, but these service beacons, I think as far as I understood, this red is kind of a negative feedback. So as far as healing and stuff is concerned, this guy didn't do the greatest job. That being said, there's a little bit of a constructive feedback here, and that is around the actual guide sessions for the guidee. So the person that's actually picking up trying to find a guide, the idea that they have to pay for a guide, I think I'm a little disheartened by. I think this is an income that should be shared by both the guidee and the guider. I do think that new players should be getting money to want to take on these guides. Otherwise, people are just, I'm not going to want to spend 5,000. You only get 5,000, I think, extra money with a referral. I mean, it's yeah. I'm pretty sure it's 5K AUAC for just doing the referral bonus. I don't want to spend that referral bonus just by trying to get a guide, and that guide might be crap. I'm gonna watch YouTube videos. I'm gonna watch YouTube videos on all these different topics, and I'm gonna totally avoid the guide system. We want new players and existing players to both partake in this system, and the only way we're gonna do that is by paying both of them, not having one pay into the other. Obviously, they know that because that's why the guild here is paying the guide themselves this whole 20K, and the guider is only paying the 5K. That being said, I think they should split this kind of cost. Each should get 10K. I mean, obviously the guide could still probably get 20K, and the guidee is getting 10K. So, person one that's setting up the new player is getting 10K, and this guy's getting 20K. You need to make this enough income for someone to be wanting to use the system. Also, for salvaging and mining and other kinds of like hauling and stuff like that, you're going to want new people to get into salvage, and so you're gonna want people that are looking to be on a reclaimer crew or a vulture crew or something of that nature. A vulture maybe not as much because it doesn't even have a seat. Like I put a seat usually in the toilet. You can actually get one of those jump seats to fit in the bathroom section. So I don't know how secure that is, but you can even close the door. That being said, I don't want to be like, hey, I've got a vulture here, guy D, get in the toilet back here. I've got a jump seat back there for you. At the end of the day, when you're a reclaimer crew or something like that, it could be really good, advantageous for someone to say, hey, I'm going to hop on. I want to do some salvaging. I don't have enough money to get a vulture or reclaimer. I think I'll just go to the guide system, sign up to be on a salvage crew, and get going, right? And both get paid. Not only get paid that fee, but also share the income on turning in the loot, which would be great as well. So that being said, the reclaimer, the captain who actually owns the ship, should be able to say, hey, I only want you to make, you're only going to make, 10, 15%, like whatever it is they want to come up with, right? I mean, for me, I don't care. I'd probably share it 50-50. They're just putting the work in just like I am. But it should be up to the captain, right? And there should be that agreement up front that they're going to share X amount of percentage when they're trading. It gets sold at the terminal, just put it automatically in the wallet of the other person that's the guider, the guidee, sorry. Anyways, we'll move on to a different topic. That being said, though, there is this kind of rating system. So they were talking about gold, bronze, and silver, and a platinum. I think they should get rid of the platinum. I feel like that's going to be, and going back to the guide piece as well, I feel like that's kind of opened up for bots or a second accounts to be used to in the various ways to kind of print AUEC with this. But honestly, this game has a problem with enough as it is, and people want to be able to get enough money in the game, and you shouldn't be able to gold farm, right? But you should make it obtainable enough that people can actually get to a ship within a reasonable amount of time. They should be able to, grind this rep for a reasonable amount of time. That being said, I think the bronze, silver, and gold is probably fine. I think the whole platinum thing, it's kind of whatever. And I'm not just saying this because I probably won't be able to get to platinum, but because I think at the end of the day, it's gonna be a lot of people that are up there because they used a bot method or they were working again with a second account or something like that to keep that account at that level. I don't think they're necessarily going to be the cream of the crop. They're going to be somebody that did something either through an organization or something like that to get to that top spot. They may not necessarily, this is one of those things where the developers have these good ideas, but then when it comes to actual playing out, they don't play out that well. So I think this is going to be one of those situations here. That being said as well, with this, I'd rather see up to 3 medals here. I can't tell with this medal system which colored, like if this person's in bronze, gold, or whatever. I'd like to see just a second and a third medal added. So if they have 3 medals, they're at the top of their game. Obviously, if they want to keep the platinum, 4 medals on the board here, so that way you can kind of see what their ratings are. From this system, it doesn't make sense to me where they're at on the whole medal system. Obviously, you can see down here they have a negative rep, so they've done terrible with medical. But shy of that, it's hard to tell off that system what's kind of going on. Next, organizations. So they do want to kind of do more with organizations. So they have a couple here as an example. The factions they might. So this is obviously cargo hauling. So kind of the things that they might get into. Recruitment, be able to do recruitment in game, which is great. Calendar things, so they can actually invite people in game as well. So all of that's well and good. I think I may not be able to get to it, but there is a video too with the org symbols being on the actual ships and stuff. I think that's all pretty cool, pretty easy to do. So all of this seems easy enough to do for me that I think that this could be done somewhere in 4.0. or sooner. But 4.0 is coming, so I think they'll focus on that. But this stuff seems like it could come out any day now, so I think this is all pretty good, well and good. The other good thing is you can be in multiple organizations. You can see here this person's at least in two. There's another option for a third one. There are 6 bubbles here, but as far as I understand it, 3 seems to be the only option here. So you can be in up to 3 organizations, which I think is cool. I can see wanting to have my own organization, but I would honestly want to be a part of a bigger organization and maybe have a small section of my community or something that I'm doing organization stuff with, but largely spending the big boy, big ship, big navy gameplay, whatever big gameplay, and for a bigger org with more people. I don't want to have to. I mean, I got a family life. Doing this content stuff mixed with just playing the game is enough as it is. I trying to add an org to that too. No, thank you. I'd like to have fun playing the game, not like micromanaging all of those different things. Not saying I would be a micromanaged org person, but anyways, it's still something you have to take care of. There's going to be org alignment. Be kind of fighting with other orgs as well. Alliances and rivalries. But all in all, I like the org stuff. Again, it should be all stuff that's already in the game. So I foresee any of that stuff should be coming out any day now, which is all great. Look forward to all of that coming into the game. Up next, they do talk about kind of like armor systems. There's like a tank person. They're a little nebulous with a lot of these because like you saw that the other friend or whatever, he doesn't really have any true stats here. So I don't think they've really fleshed these out. The tank makes sense, right? You're wearing heavy armor. You expected to take heavy hits. But how much this will really play out, I don't know. It's hard to say that. And then they also showed the worm, which I totally skipped over. 53. There we go. This is close enough. So from here, you can see that they're fighting this big worm, which is cool. And then it's got these teeth too that you can actually loot. There's probably other parts of it too that you can loot, but I know they showed at least the teeth. And then I think you're supposed to use those for base building or selling and stuff of that nature. So this is another thing, Will, where the game developers have one thing in mind, but obviously organizations will more or less be farming this. They'll be set. It's much like Jumptown. So if there's any event like this, Jumptown is going to be owned. If someone wants to own the opportunity to take over a server and do it, they're going to do it if they have enough people to do it. So how much will everybody get a chance to really do this? It's hard to say until it goes to live, but just imagine this as Jumptown. And if I haven't had a chance to really experience Jumptown, but I don't really have a reason to go there. And they don't give you enough money to really go there, at least compared to some other activities. So yeah, assuming they make this lucrative enough and assuming they make it instance or set up in some way to actually go out there and do it, that would be great. But it's just going to be probably a gank fest, largely for those that are not a part of the organization that currently owns that particular plot of land to do that activity, which is generally the way that things go in Star Citizen, which is fine. It just doesn't motivate me to want to go do it. When you're looking at a game like World of Warcraft, there's raid bosses like this, and everybody that tags it gets a piece of it. They get their own loot. That's just the way. I mean, that's where the game has been most successful, and that's why it's continued to go down that path. That being said, as well, there's probably 8, 9, 10 of these bosses at any given time, and each of those instances of that boss are on different instances, separated with a bunch of different raid groups. All right. So that's pretty much it for the kind of Monster Hunter. There's kind of this damage profile as well for like how much damage it's taking. Although these don't look all that different until you get the discoloration down here. Otherwise, Worm, can you please hold still? I'd like to see how much damage you're taking. Like I don't see it. I'm sure if it's turning dark like this, then I guess that's where you could tell that you're almost done. This is like 1% down here. So like this is what, 50? So up to 50, 25, only at around 25% will you actually noticeably, without the worm holding still, note that and the worm is supposed to be huge. Like they show it next to an Idris here. They show it next to the Idris. It's going to be huge. Like, please, worm, can you hold still? I'd like to see how much damage you're taking and what percentage of HP you're at. Anyways, yeah. So up next, I look forward to the worm. All that to say, look forward to the worm coming out. But here they then started to talk about the new systems. They did talk about other fauna, which is cool too. I guess I don't want to skip over that. They talk about the different kind of fauna, and they actually talk about variations of that worm as well. The only thing I want to mention about that is just they talk about a kind of cave variant that could be around, and I think that's freaky enough as it is. Like I always do kind of think in the caves that there's an opportunity. So they've got this swamp variant of the worm that could be kind of cool. Obviously, it's not as big, but they have this kind of like looks like it's from oh gosh, which Prometheus. Looks like it's from Prometheus. Obviously, it was a little worm in that one, but going into the caves and seeing something like this is terrifying, right? So, when it comes to space games, I'm not usually like when I think about an aquatic game, that kind of stuff, because the water monsters that could exist in this world is terrifying, and we're still discovering stuff every day. Not really every day, but we're still discovering stuff today, given how old our civilization is impressive. And they're all much more adept at being underwater than we are. And there's some freaky stuff down there. That being said, I don't feel that way about space, but I can see how people could feel that way, given that there's probably a lot of unknown out there, and there's probably a lot of creatures that are actually surviving in space, bacteria or otherwise, that are more adept at it than we ever, are going to be. Could imagine we are going to be. So yeah, so being able to go down and like even in the prisons, when you're in the prison serving time in Star Citizen, having these and stuff in the cave would be pretty funny. Yeah, it'd be pretty interesting. Next, they do talk about some new systems and some new locations. So there is this kind of asteroid Levski, and new freight elevators that are obtainable. This is 0G, so this is meant for the whole sea. So instead of it being a bottom to top elevator, it's a side loading elevator, and so you can load your whole seas that way, which is cool. Yeah, more landing pads, stuff like that. They did kind of show the Polaris as well, and I'm not gonna be able to find it in this kind of scrub here, but they did show the Polaris, and they showed the Kraken a little bit. There's the Polaris. This showed up much easier than the Kraken, but I don't think the Kraken's anywhere near done. It's just interesting to see this is where the Polaris is at. So it's got docking stations for stuff like the Polaris, which is cool to see. It can dock. Now that I think about it, actually, I'd be a little disappointed if I had to always dock. I'm hoping I can spawn the Polaris in the extra large hangar. I'd rather not have to deal with the docking, because the docking's always broken. There's kind of this new instance stuff that they've got going on as well. They've got some new areas that they plan on releasing. I think this was like Area 18 or something. Municipality districts. That being said, they are meant to be instanced. So when you go down there, you can go down there with other players, do some activities, which all seems fine and well. But yeah, I mean, nothing super exciting here. They do have kind of this under works part where you can actually go to the depths and you level up. So this kind of reminds me of the World of Warcraft delves that currently exist. Although those are solo. I guess these are more like instances, and you level up, right? So you do activities in level 1 here until you level up enough. Then you access level 2, or you gain access to level 2, and you level up here, and then you work to level 3. I don't know how many more levels there are, but obviously it only shows up to level 3. But there's different content here, which is all fine. This kind of plays maybe a little bit into the Genesis system, but it's hard to see where all this goes. I did like this planet, this new planet. Now, I guess I want to talk about the systems a little bit before we go too far into this. 644. Here we have the new systems that are supposed to be coming out. So here we are. You are here with a Stanton system, Pyro coming out in 4.0. And then after that will be Nyx. And then after finally the fourth one here will be Castra. So that other Sherman planet or Sherman landing station, whatever, was on Castra, which came out pretty cool. They also had another planet that was like a naval bombing yard. Basically think of it as the Nevada test site in the United States. If you're not familiar, we tested a lot of our nuclear weapons in Nevada. So there's a bunch of desert out there that the government owns, and they still do to this day. And they do whatever they want out there, including testing new weapons. So it used to be nuclear weapons. So you can imagine there are craters and whatnot out there that to this day, much like Chernobyl, you probably don't want to just hang out there. Although I think Chernobyl's getting better, and I'm sure there you could probably go to the Nevada test site as well. Anyways, that being said, it was an interesting planet idea, but I do like that other one I was showing you, the new Sherman. They had cool music on that too. So looking forward to these new systems, and maybe the thing I wanted to mention too about 4.0, maybe when they get over this hurdle, they can just start throwing systems out. So, I mean, is it feasible that they get this out in Q1, which seems reasonable unless they really keep running into some hurdles with Evocati. I'm not a part of Evocati. I don't know how well this is going right now. When I watch the streams, because they do let streams out for it, it's not going super well. But if they get that all worked out, when they get this released to everybody, we get it in our hands, let's say early next year, we're all playing in Pyro. Could we then see the next system before this time next year? I think that's feasible. Will that be the case? I don't know because they didn't put any timing on this. So that's probably smart of them at this point, considering how far off they were with Pyro when they said that Pyro would have already been in our hands by now. Same thing with Castra. Is it possible to think that Nyx can come out by summertime and then this comes out by this time next year? That seems reasonable to me. If they can they start cooking like that? Really cooking, that would be great. I mean, I'd be down for it. I am down. They didn't really show any new ships, so to see those new systems, it's just hard to say how quickly they can get those out and up and running. After that, to wrap this up, they did show us Squadron 42. So my thoughts on Squadron 42, I think it looked fine. I even at the end here, they have a whole demo. So if you want to watch Squadron 42 stuff, go watch the whole demo. They did have like 3 disconnects during the demo. It looked pretty good. That being said, here is, I always get this kind of like timing part right. It's not going to be right either way. So here's Squadron 42, and then you can see here 2026. So if I start this, where's the light? They had some terrible lighting going on in there. It's a lot of blooming. Lens flare, which actually happens in Star Citizen as well. Anyways, 2026 is what they're kind of promoting for this, and that could be the end of the year 2026. It could be January 2026. Who knows? That being said, my little thoughts about Squadron 42. Honestly, I think it was too cinematic. I think as a first playthrough, it's fine. And if you're going to include it with the game for a lot of the backers, which right now I don't see that. I think if you spend a certain amount of money, you should get Squadron 42 for free, obviously, given you're such a big backer. I know a lot of early backers have it because it came along with some of the backing situations, and they have it with some of the special clubs or whatever. It does come in some game packages, but I think you give it to a lot of the pledgers for Star Citizen. I think Squadron 42 is meant for people that don't know about Star Citizen, and I think that you charge them for the game. I think at this point it's kind of just bad. It looks bad and it feels bad to be charging people that have been playing Star Citizen for so long, and if they pledged X amount of money, that they'd be paying for Squadron 42 at this point. And I think those people want to play it, like myself, but they don't want to play it a bunch of times. More than likely, like I don't foresee myself, the way it was so heavy cinematically, I don't see myself replaying that multiple times, except for once, maybe every couple years. If I want to re-look at the story or something like that, or get back into the lore, I can see wanting to play it again. But it's one of those things I would get back, load it up, and then start again and go, okay, I've been playing the game for an hour now, and I've only got to like touch my WASD keys or whatever, shoot a gun like 3 times. I'm logging off, right? I might even make it. I might make it 30 minutes and only get a chance to shoot the turret like 1 time. So yeah, I think that's okay for like a first playthrough, but being able to skip that and stuff is going to be super important. I think long term for the longevity of being able to replay that game in any meaningful way. Yeah, it's kind of my thoughts. I mean, there's just my personal thoughts. Obviously, some people will disagree with that, and that's fine. And I look forward to Squadron 42 coming out because I look forward to the lore that is kind of going on with Star Citizen. But that being said, I'm not looking to pay like $60 or something like that for a game like that. That again, I'll have a hard time sitting through cinematically. I'm a little more tied to it than I was like Space Marines 2. I'm not all caught up with Warhammer. It's something I'd like to get into, but I just couldn't with that particular game. It just has you sit through too much, and I'd rather play Star Citizen or something like that. So it's one of those things where you want to make it enjoyable storyline wise and like a movie, yet not so much like a movie. When I'm playing a video game, I want to play a video game, not necessarily watch a movie. Although that's not always the instance. Sometimes I want to play a game that I don't have to think that much. So yeah, they got to find a happy medium, or people have to go into it with that expectation. Anyways, appreciate y'all taking a look at this summary with me. This is some of the high points that I found, and I look forward to seeing what tomorrow brings. But yeah, I think it's underwhelming in a good way because I look forward to seeing, especially some of that social stuff. I'd like to see it come out tomorrow, ideally. That way people can kind of do some of the guide stuff. But I think that'll be coming sometime next year, easily enough. But seeing those new systems, I'd like to hear some more timing on that, but we probably won't get that. And the boss worm stuff, all that stuff seems cool, but it's hard to say. I'm not a part of an organization, so it's hard to say how much I'll really be into doing those boss fights. It's something you don't want to go in there just solo. Anyways, appreciate y'all taking the time to check out this video with me, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.